What's up, everybody? Bruce here again for another book review tonight. We're going to be doing Son of the Mother-Sucking Black Sword by Larry Correia. Book 1 in the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior series. Let me just tell you something. I don't mean to rock the racial boat or nothing, but I used to think that Indian dudes were kind of nerdy. My bad. Dude. They're not. They're bad ace. I'm not effing around, dude. Before I get into the review, my current read is Theft of Fire. My last video, I didn't mention what it was I was reading because I didn't want to put the name on blast in case I didn't like it. Well, I absolutely like it. It is great. I think I'm on chapter like 12 or something. Holy crap. What a cool book. Can't wait to do my video on that. Needless to say, that book rocks. I'll give a quick little, I'll say something quick about it. It's kind of like a cyberpunk outer space theme book. It's hard sci-fi, very, very well paced, very close narrative distance. Like you're right up on this character. It's first person. It's present tense. I like it a lot. It's a really good read. Independently published, which is even more badass. So I'll get more into that when I finish the book and I make a video. For now, that's all I'm going to say on the subject. And then my next read TBR list is going to be, what am I going to do next? I don't even know. Oh, well, I'm like pretty much done with Doom Messiah, so probably be that. And then after that, probably get Tower of Silence, get that ordered and knock that out. And then also book 7, the 7th book in the Land and Sea franchise is going to be coming out on the 17th of August, so I'll pick that up as well. So those are going to be the nearest ones in my TBR list. And then once I finish those, I got a Witcher book. I got the Season of Storms. Because I can't find Lady of the Lake in the cover of my other ones, like these. I don't want to just buy it in a different cover that doesn't match, because that's disgusting. Let's get into the synopsis. Read that little blurb for Son of the Black Sword. After the War of the Gods, the demons were cast out and fell to the world. Mankind was nearly eradicated by the seemingly unstoppable beasts, until the gods sent the great hero, Ramrawan, to save them. He united the tribes, gave them magic, and drove the demons into the sea. Ever since, the land has belonged to man, and the oceans have remained an uncrossable hell, leaving the continent of Lok isolated. It was prophesied that someday the demons would return, and only the descendants of Ramrawan would be able to defeat them. They became the first kings, and all men served those who were their only hope for survival. As centuries passed, the descendants of the great hero grew in number and power. They became tyrannical and cruel, and their religion nothing but an excuse for greed. Gods and demons became myth and legend, and the people no longer believed. The castes created to serve the sons of Ramrawan rose up and destroyed their rulers. All religion was banned and replaced by a code of unflinching law. Their surviving royalty and their priests were made casteless, condemned to live as untouchables, and the age of law began. Ashok Vadal has been chosen by a powerful ancient weapon to be its bearer. He is a protector, the elite militant order of roving law enforcers. No one is more merciless in rooting out those who secretly practice the old ways. Everything is black or white, good or evil, until he discovers his entire life is a fraud. Ashock isn't who he thinks he is, and when he finds himself on the wrong side of the law, the consequences lead to rebellion, war, and destruction. Alright, so let's get into the lore. Dude, this book is nutty, dude. The demons live in hell, right? People live on land. Nobody crosses. Let's see, you got this. Lok is the name of the main continent that the story takes place on, but there's also this weird little separate civilization that they can actually see. It's an island that they call Fortress, and they think it's wizards and stuff that live out there, but really they're making like more like alchemists than anything. But anyway, they live out across the ocean, and they don't really know. They do smuggle some of their contraband into Lok. Not sure how that goes down because nobody knows how to get across the ocean. I mean, wizards can turn into birds and stuff, so who knows? Hasn't been revealed as to exactly how Fortress is able to smuggle their goods in. But anyway, anything from Fortress is super illegal. There was even a time when the capital tried to, raise armies to try to go across the ocean and fight the fortress. And of course, the demons came out of the ocean and killed everybody, dude. As the synopsis said, there is something called that ancient blade that Ashock wields is called an ancestor blade. And there's a bunch of different ones. They're made of this material called black steel, which according to the lore in this book came from this super bad A ship that Ramrowan was like coming out of the sky and was made out of black steel. I don't remember exactly what, if it like broke apart during the battle or what, but basically that's the story or the belief as to where all the other black steel in the world comes from. It came from his ship that broke apart during that war. Anyway, the black steel is kind of like a sentient material, so you can only be a bearer of an ancestor blade if it deems you're worthy, kind of like Mjolnir. But if you are worthy and you do become the bearer, one, you basically have access to all the memories and instincts of every other bearer that's ever had that sword. To the point where you even have like a spidey sense. Like if you're about to get stabbed in the back, your sword will give you a heads up so you can react. So when you are a bearer, you are like a super soldier. You have crazy reflexes. It's legend that a bearer of an ancestor blade can take out a whole army on his own. Probably a little inflated, not super close to the truth, but it is what it is. Peasants be talking, Anyway, so Ashock's blade. So Ashock there's a bunch of different houses and they all control territories inside Luck. And then basically whoever the main house is that controls the territory, that territory is simply named after like that house, right? So he's from House Vadal. He's from Vadal land. Not like Vadal land, but he's from the lands of Vadal. I guess it's not really a spoiler because it's basically like beginning of the book, the whole premise of the first book here. But anyway, so as that blurb mentioned, the cast lists are basically it's that whole thing of them being the descendants of of Ramrowan and the kings and the priests. That's like a big secret. Like nobody, very, very few people know that, and it's very hush hush. Anyway, Ashock is basically, it's a very rigid caste system in this world, and Ashock, as a protector, who are like, as the blurb stated, they are the law enforcers. So anybody who is caught violating the law, no matter what level of society they belong to, basically the protectors go and kill them, like super hardcore. I've heard Larry Correia kind of describe the character as like a fantasy Judge Dredd, and he definitely is. He is super ruthless, but he's not like evil, right? He just is by the book, right? He is the law. That's kind of Ashock's deal. But anyway, protectors are like the highest of the high, and usually, I mean, you can't be casteless. They don't have a caste, hence the name casteless. So they're at the very bottom. So Ashock, his whole life, thought that he was the nephew of, I forgot her name, Badaya Vadal. I might be saying that wrong. Probably am. Probably gonna say a lot of the names wrong, except for Ashock, because that's pretty easy. Ashock isn't really the nephew of Badaya Vadal. He is a casteless. And when the last bearer of his ancestor blade, which is called Angru Vadal, died, a bunch of warriors came to try and pick it up. And if the sword deems you not worthy, it basically forces you to attack yourself with it. And black steel is insanely indestructible and sharp, so it cuts through everything. You're chopping people's arms off and their fingers and like killing people. So you can either get horribly maimed or you die if you are not worthy. So a bunch of people die. Ashock gets brought into it's like a throne room or some fancy part of the palace, where like the person died with the sword. The sword is sitting on the ground. People literally can't pick it up. So all these people that are coming to try and like see if they're worthy to, pull the stone from the sword from the stone, so to speak, or just doing it right here in this random room of this palace. And so all these people keep dying and blood getting everywhere or getting wounded. And Ashock, being a little slave boy, has to come in and he's the blood scrubber. That's his job. And time after time after time, one of these days one of these evenings when he's there doing it, he is trying to clean around the sword and he friggin' touches it and basically like sword picks him. And everyone's like, how did a stupid little castless boy get chosen by an ancestor blade? Obviously, that's because nobody knows that the castless are actually descended from the big cheese, right? So I do this a lot. I don't do cocaine. I don't know why I rub my nose so much. It's a nervous tick. So yeah, that's kind of the deal with the Ancestor Blade and his backstory. So anyway, everyone comes running in. They're like, oh gosh, dude, Cassius picked up the Ancestor Blade. Now he's the bearer. That's friggin' embarrassing. So if I remember correctly, the Badaya, she either executes, she basically, whoever saw is silenced. I don't remember if she kills them or if they just are like, hey dude, swear an oath or some crap. I don't remember. She's the kind of person that would definitely kill them. Anyway, the court wizard is like, bro, I got this. Little hibbity dibbity jibbity on his brain hole, wiped out all of his memory, restructured his brain to think that he's the nephew of Badaya and part of House Vadal. They go into the Cassius quarter and they kill everybody, even his mom. They just wipe everybody out. So there's no memory of Ashock. Which his Cassius name isn't Ashock, it's Fall. Pretty dope. I don't know. Yeah, it's cool. Like the Cassius all have names that are like kind of like part of something when they were born or when they're conceived, something, some kind of a meaning to them that are kind of like literal names. Anyway, so he gets revamped. Truth gets altered to be whatever truth they want it to be. And then the wizard's like, also what we should do is pledge this guy to the protectors and basically do 20-year obligation to the protectors order. And the protectors, it's kind of like Witcher. It's very Witcher-esque. Like you go through these young boys, only boys can be it, go into this like super intense order to become these like super soldiers. So not only do people that are bearers of the Ancestor Blades already have heightened skills because of all the reflexes and battle knowledge inside their blade that they just have at their disposal, but now he's gone in the Protector Order, and the Order takes the sword from him because they want him to be on level footing with the other recruits, so he has to learn to fight with regular weapons, and he can't get his sword back until he becomes a full-fledged protector. So he's like super motivated because when it's not with him, he feels like very anxious. He needs it back. It's like a part of him. Like they're very, very strongly bonded. It being a sentient weapon. I mean, it does actually talk to him later, but I think it's after. I'm not going to spoil it, so it's not a big spoiler to say that the sword eventually. I don't think it's in this book, but whatever, dude. He becomes a protector, right? So they have to go up this huge mountain, and then there's these crazy kind of like constructs that they have to fight, and they basically constantly keep healing. They can't die, and like each time, like they kind of like fight in rounds. Like each time, like the two boys. So he's going up with his best friend Devadas. I don't know if I said that right. And they're together, and they're with some other kids. Some kids like turn back, but there's no shame in turning back. You can turn back and try again later, but chances are you can also die because it's a freezing mountain. But anyway, by the time they get to the top where these constructs are, there's only 3 of them, and the third boy, I don't remember his name, but he basically turns around and runs to his death because at that point he's hungry, thirsty, freezing. He has nothing left to make it all the way back down. So instead of like, you either face these creatures and fight them and die, or you just automatically die by turning around and going back down the mountain, which don't make no sense, dude. But anyway, that's what that guy did because he was afraid of these creepy looking constructs. And then, so anyway, yeah, they end up they make it a few rounds, and then their Lord Protector, the leader of their order, Lord Ratul, 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 I think it's Ratul, calls off the construct and said, okay, you guys made it. But at this point, Devadas is like super messed up, and they got to hurry and run inside the little chamber. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, inside that is the heart of the mountain. It's a big chunk of black steel. And anybody who touches it basically becomes connected to it. And what this hunk of black steel allows you to do is you can basically draw power from it. So you can use it to heal yourself. You can use it to enhance your senses, like your smell, your hearing, your eyesight. You can make yourself faster and stronger with it. So once he becomes a protector, he becomes an absolute killing machine, because not only is he a protector with the power of the heart of the mountain, now he's also a bearer of an ancestor blade. So he has spider senses to kind of like watch his back, and his sword will basically give him like battle plans. Like it can scope out the situation that he's in, and it'll be like, this is the best way to go, and he does it. So he's the best protector like the most lethal killing machine on the planet. And because his brain was so messed up, he can't feel fear, and he's obsessively dedicated to the law. So he just shoots up the ranks. I mean, not really ranks to shoot up, but his reputation, like he is the best, for those reasons. So that's a little bit of the Ancestor Blade lore and kind of his lore. And then there is magic in this world, obviously the Black Steel. So there are wizards, and the way they work is they, like, the different spells they can learn are called patterns, right? So they try to memorize these patterns, but then they can't just go cast the spells, right? They have to have, it costs like a fuel. So things they use to cast spells would either be parts of demons, like demon flesh, demon bone, or black steel itself. So every time every time a wizard casts a spell, it consumes that. So it's kind of a cool trade-off where it's a very finite thing, especially with the black steel. I think the black steel it produces more, I don't know if it's more potent magic, but magic seems to work better with black steel, I think, than demon parts. However, demon parts are renewable, but demons are insanely hard to kill. Their flesh, their hides are like almost impossible to pierce. You can do it, but it takes a ton of damage, and you have to like hit it like at the right angle, unless you're wielding a black steel blade, in which case, yeah, you can mess them up. And Larry did a cool thing with its, I would have never thought of this, but like the way he describes their hide, I don't know if it's like a fur. Basically, you can if you stroke it one way, it's nice and smooth, but if you go against the grain, it literally rips your flesh off. And the demons come in like different shapes and sizes. They don't all look the same. But yeah, they're super cool. And then if either you kill a demon, or sometimes demons do wash up on the beach, and that's kind of how wizards can get more demon parts. However, being a wizard is super regulated. So there's like official wizards, and then anybody else who's not like approved by the law or the capital is an illegal wizard. What else we got for lore, guys? We'll get a little bit into the gods, because I don't think that's too much of a giveaway. But yeah. So there is, as the synopsis suggested, the past has been kind of forgotten, right? It's just the law. That's all there is. They don't believe that there's gods. They don't believe they have souls. They don't believe there's an afterlife. When they die, they're like, okay, now I'm going to the great nothing. That's it. Nothing. That's it. They don't. It's like, it's illegal to worship gods. It's illegal to, follow the old ways, basically. And there's been, throughout time, there's been like uprises of religious fanatics that are put down by the protectors. There's a whole bunch of different orders. There's like the archivists, there's the historians, there's the inquisitors, who were like other super high, like the protectors, but super nefarious, clandestine type folks. Also, they have like the witch hunters inside the inquisitors. So the inquisitors themselves are also kind of wizards, because they're trained to go hunt wizards. Not great people. They wear these, as you can kind of see on the cover of the book, the inquisitors wear this mask over their faces. I think they have like steel ones for like official things, and if they're out and about, it's like leather or something. I can't remember, and then the protectors, that's the face of the law. The protectors have a pendant, I believe, that they wear that has that symbol on it. But anyway, yeah, the inquisitors are super gnarly. Inside the Capitol, they have like, it's called the Inquisitor's Dome, and they literally, like, anybody that they interrogate or they find guilty of, or anybody they find guilty in their eyes, they basically like stick them to that dome and let them die slowly from exposure and birds pecking out their guts, dude. So the Inquisitors are nar, and they are super into torturing people. So nobody wants to mess with the Inquisitors. Ashock, when he finds out that he is a casteless, he's so dedicated to the law that he basically turns himself in. He goes and kills his aunt, who's not really his aunt, and is like, "What's my mom's name? Oh, fuck you!" And he like kills everybody in there, because she sicks the guards and her bodyguard on him, and he kills them all. And then what does he do? Oh, to make it fair, because he's like such an honorable dude, that he stuck his ancestor blade like in the ground, like the stone floor, because it's an ancestor blade. He can do that. And then like he took on all these guards with like a regular weapon, just so it'd be more fair. And then his aunt tried to pick up the ancestor blade, and it chopped half her friggin' head off, and that was dope. Anyway, then he turns himself in and he just kind of sits and rots in a prison until Kita, the keeper of names, shows up and is like, dude, your name is Fall. Your mom's name is, I don't remember, it's this, that. Your dad's name is this. He was a corpse burner. And basically Kita he's the keeper of names. So he tracks all the genealogy for all the castless to take them, tracking their genealogy back to Ramrowan. So every time they find new refugees and stuff like that, he like writes everybody's name down. Even if they're not refugees, even if they're people from castes, because there are people that are in castes too, like warriors. Okay, that's another thing too. So castes. There is there's the worker caste, there's the warrior caste, there's the first caste. I think that's it. I mean, the caste kind of expands. So like there'd be like bankers and smiths. Those are in the worker caste. Then the warrior caste obviously is your warriors. First caste is like your nobles, your judges, your lords of the house, stuff like that. And then the protectors are kind of even above first caste. The same with the inquisitors, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Anyway, yeah. So Kita is the keeper of names, and he not only tracks the names for the casteless back for their genealogy, but he also does it for the people from actual castes, so like workers and warriors. There's even a few first casters that in secret follow the old ways and worship the god who is referred to as the Forgotten. And I'm not really good. There is a prophet. So basically Ashock is given an order from the Inquisition to go seek out this prophet. I don't want to say much more than that because I don't give spoilers, but to go seek out this prophet of the Forgotten. That whole journey is basically what book one's kind of about, is him trying to follow the order, that last order, because he wanted to be executed because he hated the fact that he was castless. He hated the fact that he defrauded the law, that he defrauded his brothers in the order of the protectors, even though he didn't even know, but he still feels like it's such a sin. Even if it's not his fault, he still feels responsible for it. Yeah, dude, this book is so good. Let's talk about the setting. Dude, this is the only fantasy story, and I'm not saying there aren't other ones out there. This is the only one I've ever encountered because I'm so used to fantasy series being like proto-Europe style stories, like the setting. The Indian setting is so cool. It is so rad. And he must have done a ton of... I don't know anything about Indian culture, really. I mean, beyond like super basic stuff. This, first of all, Locke is a great continent. And I didn't know how it was going to be. It is freaking rad. I can't praise it enough. It's so cool. And the way he varies, the continent of Locke, he's kind of given it all the different like topographies and environments you could ask for. There's a swamp, there's mountains, there's dry desert, there's the jungle. But everything is still like very Indian theme, right? There's tigers, there's cobras. And I've never been to India, so I don't know, maybe India is like that. Maybe it has all those different ecologies, environments, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I've been to India, but I didn't get to explore. I just landed and took back off. Dude, the setting is great. Something else that's cool about the setting is because demons live in the ocean, like water is like almost considered, it's not almost, it is considered a necessary evil. Like water sucks. It really, really sucks. Water sucks. Okay? Anybody who lives close to water is like, oh, that sucks, dude. You're kind of trash. You're a trash person for living so close to the water. They call, like, it's a slang to call someone a fish eater, which usually refers to the casteless, because the casteless are really the only people that eat fish. Gross. Because like fish come from hell. Something comes out of the water, it comes from hell. The ocean, rivers. Well, the rivers, salt water specifically, is hell. So like salt water, people will say salt water is a curse, which is awesome. Or they'll say oceans. Or they'll call somebody a fish eater. So nobody even trusts fresh water, especially rivers, because they go and they connect to hell. And sometimes maybe demons might swim upstream. But yeah, for sure, salt water, if you can't see your feet, you're in hell, basically. Like, don't go in deeper than you can see your feet. That's kind of like the rule. But the casteless, they don't really follow. I mean, they don't go out to sea, but they'll eat fish, and they don't have the same kind of, I don't know, superstitions about the ocean that everyone else does, that the caste people do. So basically, the further away from the ocean you are, like as far as like your cities and your towns, it's kind of a little bit more prestigious, right? So the actual capital of Locke is like very, very far inland, and it's in the middle of like a deserty area. To like, they actually have to set up massive aqueduct systems to bring water in because they don't want to be close to the ocean. I love that the sea is so like mysterious. The fact that they can literally see Fortress, right? That island that's off the coast. It's far away, but it's close enough that they can see it, and yet it may as well be on the moon. Like, that is so cool. Like, the ocean being that terrifying. Like, the ocean's already scary. Like, in medieval times, the ocean was still scary. But the fact is, if you go in the ocean in Locke, you're gonna die. Like, you're gonna die. It's not gonna take long. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for coming to the end of the video. I'm gonna wrap it up because it's going on a little longer than I expected. I was gonna talk about like my favorite characters, but honestly, I already mentioned a bunch of them in the lore part of this video, so I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up right now. But yes, this is a fantastic series. Great book. It might be my favorite fantasy series. I'm not being hyperbolic. I think as of now, it beats out The Witcher for me. I mean, I love like Lord of the Rings, and I love like the Aragon series, and I love whatever. I might have read Harry Potter too many times as a kid, so I don't have a huge repertoire of fantasy series to compare it to. But regardless, it is a freaking great book. So good. Great series. It's so original to me. I mean, I haven't read any other, like I said, Indian style fantasy stories. It has like a real like kind of like sword and sorcery feel to it. Although it's probably more high fantasy. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a amazing story. It's so good. If you're like one of those people that's like super ideologically driven, please just set that aside. Don't think about who Larry Correia is if you're offended by him. This series is so good. Give it a try. If you guys are still with me, still watching this video, thank you so much. Please comment. If you've read this book, comment and share your thoughts with me. I would love to talk to you about it. Like, subscribe, and please like share this video and tell your friends to come hang out so we can talk about cool books together. All right? Trying to grow the channel. Hopefully someday I can go hit up some cons. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, like, subscribe. See you next time.